Well, it's going to be a busy next 90 minutes here on the weekend preview, and we're going to start by looking at the very last game of the weekend. It's a massive match between Liverpool and Arsenal. It will be all eyes on Anfield on Monday night.
Two of the Premier League's smoothest spectacles. They generally thrill.
Great ball. Owen! What a finish! Fowler, Patrick. That is brilliant! Torres! Astonishing! Arsenal 4! Firmino! It's bounced in! Hat-trick hero! Premier League classic.
Let's hear from the man in charge at Liverpool. Here's Jurgen Klopp.
Mikel Arteta, I think, showed in a very pretty short period of time that he seems to be an exceptional football manager. Obviously, because the team he sets up now is the structure of the team is absolutely exceptional. You can see. The balance between defense and offense is really good. You can see a lot of things which obviously are pretty helpful in football. Good organization, but freedom for the players as well, uses the players in the right position. So I have to say, since he's there, he did a pretty impressive job, to be honest, and changed, I think, the whole mood in the club. I'm not sure what I don't know exactly about what the mood was before he arrived, but I don't think a lot of people thought at the end of the season he will have won any competition or something like that, and he did that by winning the FA Cup and winning now the what is it, the English Super Cup. And so that's pretty impressive, I have to say. So it's a tough opponent, 100%.
So Jurgen Klopp giving credit to the job that Mikel Arteta has done since coming in at Arsenal. Is this Arsenal's first real test of the season, though, Glenn?
Oh, without any shadow of a... No disrespect to the teams they've already played. But they do look better. They've got a nice balance to their team now. That defensively they were poor. Let's be honest. They had some firepower going forward. Of course they had over the last few seasons, but you just felt as if they were going to concede and they were going to give goals away. You know, sometimes you get teams create against you. That's one thing. They've earned the right to score, but Arsenal were giving goals away left, right, and centre. He's tightened that up, and I think that's more of a unit. They've worked as a unit better rather than bringing just individuals in to shore it up. That's happened very quickly as a team. So they look a lot better, and I think this is going to be a hell of a game. I really do. They do struggle against Liverpool up there.
They do struggle. Listen, I think the mentality against the big 5 or 6 away from home over the last few years has been really poor. Now that's what they've got to get into their mentality. We can go there and get results.
They've just got to rein in that euphoria, really, that they've had in the early weeks of the season with, as Jurgen Klopp was saying, the FA Cup win, the Community Shield win, the re-signing of Aubameyang, which I think everyone 8 months ago probably thought wasn't possible, that he would probably go somewhere else to fulfil himself. But I think the results don't really tell the story, even 2 games into the season. I thought they were actually quite poor against West Ham. I thought West Ham, having struggled really mightily and had a lot of unrest behind the scenes, were better than them and could easily have nicked that game.
But is that the mentality change where games like that in previous years, they might have drew, but they've got over the line in a game where they've not played well in?
I think it's easier to say that when they've got away with a bit. Sometimes it's just luck. And say, for example, Gabriel, who's come into the team and scored his goal in the first game, I don't think has looked that convincing. And I mean, you know, there are good Premier League defenders who've really struggled at first. So I think we have to be realistic about that. But they did get away with this a little bit. I can understand why David Moyes was wringing his hands. I think when they go to Anfield, what's so important is not so much the result. If they lose to Liverpool, that's fine. Liverpool are the best team in the division and they're a lot better than them. It's really the manner. If they go up there and get belted in one of those bad old Arsenal performances that you were talking about, then there's an issue. I think there becomes more of a we're putting the cart before the horse, and I think there is the danger of that a little bit at the moment. So I hope it's not a big reality check for them. But if they can go and give a creditable performance, I think then people will really believe Arsenal are starting to move in the right direction.
I think the setup will be. Arteta will know the setup will be defence. He's going to have to defend. Whether he plays Aubameyang out on that left-hand side, he's going to have to be tracking half the time.
Do you think with Thiago he could be the player, the addition to this Liverpool squad that is the difference in them retaining the title, Glenn?
Yes, I do. It's very difficult to win the Premier League back to back, and with this player coming in, I think they've given themselves every chance. I just noticed that I think he's out for the weekend, but Oxlade-Chamberlain for me is another one, gives him a different dimension. He needs to stay fit, and if there's goals in him and creation from him in a different way than any of the other players in that midfield area. So I think if they keep him fit as well, he's almost like a new player coming in as well, and I think Liverpool can go and win it again this year.
What about Liverpool's front three then, Andy, up against Arsenal's defence? They could cause some trouble, couldn't they?
Yeah, and we talked about how Arsenal had their difficulties last weekend. It's a really steep learning curve for Gabriel, I think, because obviously he's proved himself in top flight in France, and he's been very, very good there. But I think the Premier League, it's a shock to a lot of players. It's a shock to a lot of defenders. And I remember Patrice Evra gave that interview in the summer, didn't he, where he was talking to Donald McRae about how after his debut away at Manchester City, he got dragged off after 45 minutes. And he said to his agent, "What do you think?" He said, "Well, I think you've made a mistake, but it's a bit late now, isn't it?" And, a player like that who turned into a club legend and turned into a Premier League legend, I think that shows how difficult it can be. And Liverpool's front three, then it's not just that they're three incredible forwards. They're perfectly complementary. They've all got different skill sets. They fit together so brilliantly, and they're just relentless as well. I mean, you saw that in the manner of the goals at Chelsea last weekend, I thought, as well.
Yeah. Did you like Mane in that game, Robbie, against Chelsea? He was a nuisance, wasn't he?
Fantastic. I think I've seen, and correct me if I'm wrong, Cesc Fabregas saying that Mane is the best player in the Premier League. And to be fair, on his form, his work ethic, what's this for an intelligent run across? Look at that, and he just peeled off. Great header as well. Look at his word right there. Yes, people say Kepa made the mistake, but
his attitude, though.
His attitude.
Yeah. That was great because he gave the ball away.
Yeah.
He'd given the ball away, and he was so annoyed with himself. He's gone, and he got a goal out of it, which was brilliant.
Fantastic.
So, what do we reckon then? The match at Anfield Monday night prediction, Andy?
2-0 Liverpool.
Yeah, I'm going 2-1. I think they'll break that high line that Liverpool play, so I'm going for them to score one. So 2-1 to Liverpool, I think.
I'm not going to ask you yet, Robbie, because we're going to see your predictions later. Yeah. All right, let's talk.
To say they today have signed one of the best players in world football. Is that fair, Don?
Absolutely fair. I mean, this guy is so good, so talented. He'll be ready to go. He's match fit, unbelievable passer of the football, can play in a number of positions. I think the hardest thing for Liverpool fans is actually trying to figure out what Liverpool's best midfield's going to be, because they've got some serious players. Yeah. But Thiago comes in, and I think he's completely different than any other individual that's at the football club with his range of passing. They've got loads of athletes in there who can all handle the ball. This guy, as I said before, he can play passes in between the lines, he can play forward passes, hit 40, 50-yard diagonal passes. So when teams sit back against Liverpool and try and defend a little bit deep, he can open them up.
So what does he add, in your opinion, Leroy, to the Liverpool team that they don't already have?
Look, the passing range and control, real control in the midfield with the ball. Look, he's an outstanding player, 29 years old, vastly experienced. The Bayern Munich didn't want to let him go. Look at that, European League appearances, European League goals, honours 19, Spanish international, and to be a Spanish international in the midfield, you've got to be some player, by the way. And look, he doesn't score many goals, but look, he's the pass before the pass. He's the one who just dictates play. And Don's absolutely right. He is an outstanding player. The thing is, I think you see him, an amazing player is going into an amazing team can sometimes cause a manager amazing problems. And, everybody's already starting arguing, where does he play? Where does he fit in? This team, with that midfield, we talked about the three in midfield for Liverpool doing a magnificent job and suiting the front three. Just how does Jurgen Klopp get him to fit in? Well, look, he's got a great chance because he's an outstanding player.
He had a year left on his contract. I don't think I'm pushing it enough to say if this guy had 3 or 4 years left on his contract, Liverpool would be paying 75, 80 million pound for him. He's that good. So for 20 million pound, it's an absolute steal.
Don, we were speaking last week, and you said the difference between Liverpool winning the league and not might come down to whether they sign this player or not.
That's what I feel.
They've now got the deal over the line.
Yeah. Go on. No, that's what I feel.
Do you think they can do it?
I do. Right here, right now, without Man City signing anyone, I think this makes Liverpool favourites for the league, because when I watched them at the Community Shield and Arsenal sat really deep against them, Liverpool were passing it, and the clock was going down, but they weren't really going anywhere. With this guy's range of pass, if you're Mo Salah now and you see Thiago get the ball on his right foot, you're making a run. If you're Mane and you see him get the ball, you're making a run in behind. Firmino's going to drop short. So he's the key to the other players. I wouldn't say deficiency is what they've got, because they've all got something different. If you want to change the game and have a midfield player that can run with the ball, you pick Naby Keita. If you want Jordan Henderson and Fabinho's experience in sitting still and breaking down the game and getting forward and being an 8 box to box, you pick those two. Then you've got Oxlade-Chamberlain to come into the mix as well. So there's so many contenders for those 3 positions. That's if we think there's going to be 3 and not going to be a change of shape. So it gives Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp so many options.
And that was what I was going to ask you, Lee. Do you think that there could be a change of shape to account for him? Or if not, who does he displace?
I cannot see him changing the shape of that team. It's interesting because Don's right, and we all of a sudden we started making up problems that Liverpool had last year that they didn't, because they found solutions every single week.
They did.
You know, he can get on the ball, he can find that pass. Well, they did. They had solutions. And, you know, changing the shape of the team to accommodate him, I think will only make the team go backwards. So I think if you keep the 4-3-3, because the front three works perfectly, Firmino does what he does absolutely better than anybody else that I've ever seen play in that situation. So he has got to slip into the team. But he is that good, and in training, you know what, a manager will see him and think, flipping hell, he's got to play. You know, he's that.
How much did we pay for him?
20 million. He's got to play. I've got to find the place. I don't think Jurgen Klopp will make that mistake, to be honest. I think that, you know, he's got to get up to tempo, not just with the Premier League, but with Liverpool as well. Liverpool, the highest tempo team I've ever seen play in the Premier League. So he's got to get. So I think he'll give him time.
And he can do that, by the way, because he has been doing this with Bayern.
Absolutely. But you look at the signings that have been a success for Liverpool. You know, he's given them a bit of time. That Fabinho gave him plenty of time to adjust. Even though he's a terrific player, he still needs that time. And I think he'll get it.
I just think every now and again, when you're playing football and you've been in loads of dressing rooms like I have, and every now and again someone walks into your dressing room and they raise the bar and raise the standard. James has now done that at Everton, and we'll talk about them later on. Thiago will do exactly the same when Jordan Henderson parks up next to him, and Fabinho and Oxlade-Chamberlain.